Thank you for tuning in to Sisters, where we discuss lifestyle love with lots of laughs. We're your hosts, B.N.Z, Bree.
Hey.
Nicole.
What's going on?
And Zahirah, that's me. So, oh my God, it feels good to be back with you ladies. It's been a little minute. And we're like on the tail end right now of Black History Month, right? So we feeling extra blackly. Extra.
That's nice.
Girl, I have like 40s.
Oh, okay.
Because not only are they cute, but they comfortable, you know? We just talk about that, you know, there's a couple little, the COVID pounds is like extended into 2022. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can still blame it on it anymore, but that's neither here nor there, girl. So speaking of Black History Month, what Black shows have y'all been watching? Like Black characters, Black whatever, producers, whatever. What Black shows are going on right now?
Well, I can say I've been watching a lot of reality TV because that's my guilty pleasure. So,
okay.
You know, a series called Ready to Love. I watched that. Women of the Movement. I actually watched Medea's Homecoming last night. You know, sometimes a movie's a little fuzzy, but I actually enjoyed that one a little bit.
Yeah, I watched it yesterday morning. It was good. It was, you know, it's always messy. It always got some twists and turns, but it was funny. It was like an upbeat show to watch. Like
exactly. And I like how she incorporated like Black Lives Matter and some other things in there. So it was some real, you know, deep like messages in it. So I have to say this is one of the better ones of hers that I enjoyed. Hers, like it's really a real person.
Right. Hey, that's why I've been boycotting them, because this whole Medea thing, I was like, I can't take no more. The Boo Halloween thing, I was like, I can't do it. But now I'm glad to hear it's good. Yeah. You saw it too, Bree?
Yeah, I did. I saw it yesterday morning. Me and Levi watched it. It was good. It was like funny, but they had those serious conversations in there, like Nicole said, like where they incorporate Black Lives Matter in the conversations. And I've noticed that a lot of shows are doing it now. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Even Law and Order SVU, that's not a Black show.
Yeah.
But when I tell you that they have been blackity black since like the pandemic, they're constantly talking about like the police reform issue and all of that. I have to commend the writers. Like sometimes I'm like, dang, they're gonna put it on every episode. Like they find a way to put it in every episode. I'm like, okay. I mean, hopefully it's leading to good conversations, you know, in households. Like, what does this mean?
But you know what? It's really putting that conversation in households that would never have that conversation. Mm-hmm. So, and even if they don't have a conversation about it, at least they're hearing it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Putting it in their face, which is important.
Mm-hmm. I think the opposite to that is you mentioned Ready to Love, Nicole, and we watched it. So we did our whole little Huntsville retreat.
Okay, I have not seen Ready to Love, so tell me about it.
Okay, Bree. Nicole, you want to go first because you put me onto it.
Is it a reality show?
It's a reality show.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's hosted by nephew Tommy. So because you know he's had a successful marriage for so long, he's kind of like, I would say like the mentor. You know, he talks to the women and the men, and like they go to different cities, and it's all Black men and women. Which I think is important. And they talk about and they set up different scenarios like how they'll have more women than men on the season, because in actuality, that's really how it is sometimes in a dating pool. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they're all successful, you know, Black men and women, which I like as well. And they basically just, you know, go out on different dates and, you know, they vote each other off, you know, whether it's one week it's focused on voting off a man, then the next week it may be a woman, but, you know, they incorporate them meeting their families, which I think is important, you know, their friends and sometimes their exes. And I think, you know, it helped me learn a lot, you know, in terms of dating, like things that you don't ever think of sometimes asking, you know, when you're dating, or sometimes certain concessions that I used to be so, you know, hell bent on not, you know, making, but it really makes you start to think like, you know, what you want or what you need may not always necessarily look like what you think it is. So I like it, but this season I'm not here for it at all.
It's very intentional.
Go ahead. You go.
Okay, so before we have to tell you what's wrong with this season, we gotta tell you what's been right in the past, right?
Okay.
So first of all, they do a really good job of making the singles intentional. Like you only have a little bit of time and you meet a lot of people. So you have to have very intentional conversations, like learning about people's backgrounds. They have very diverse people. So like you have people who, you know, are in IT, or you have people who are in cosmetology or this or that or that. Some people are divorced, some people have children, some people don't, like, you know, very different, diverse age ranges. They kind of keep it, bless you, girl. Girl, you all right?
Well, you know when I sneeze, I gotta sneeze more than once. So
got it. See, that's good enough to come in threes. But so they generally are like in the 30s and 40s age range, so they try to keep them adult, but it's just interesting. And then also being in a space where a lot of times people encourage you, like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So we've seen it where people do that. They come in and they lock in and they decide to do it, and they don't get the full experience of dating and learning new people. And then you have some people who really take advantage of the process. But this season, I don't know if it's the singles or what is going on, but they're in DC, right? They're in DC this year. So they just, one woman in particular, when she was getting eliminated. So they eliminate very respectfully. I have to say that. Like, it's not like one of those shows where it's cutthroat. They have a full conversation of, okay, like they meet as a group. Like, let's say they're eliminating a woman that week, right? Mm-hmm. They have the gentleman's circle, and they have a full conversation on, okay, why are you feeling this person? Why are you not feeling this person? And it's never like surface stuff. It's not like, oh, she ain't cute, or like, you know what I mean? It's like, her family background doesn't align with mine, or like sexual history. Like, there's some people come in there and they want to be abstinent the whole time. Like, they want to be abstinent till marriage. People have other, ideologies. So they get really into it. So when they do eliminate the person, they have a conversation with them and they say, like, look, like, this is where you're not connecting with people. So it's an opportunity for you, if you're receptive, to grow. Like, and multiple people who are dating you are saying the same thing is something that you should probably pay attention to. So there was this one girl who was getting eliminated in the season, and she was so nasty about it. Like, the guy brought her on a date and was a gentleman about being real with her. And she was just like, that's BS. So you could see people who are just not ready to love. Like, and so that's what they said to them. Like, we just think you're not ready to love right now. So, but this, the cast,
yeah. so it's the cast for the next season. For this season, it is going on right now.
It's this season going on right now. And for me, because like I feel like we already have enough shows where we're looked at a certain type of way. And I really feel like the first two seasons really brought out the best in people, and you saw the genuineness in them, and wanting to be in love, like a lot of us are. But it's like I'm finding it hard to see the genuine intentions of a lot of people on this season.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of those connections were like brought you to tears, because you watched the whole journey of like really genuinely falling in love with somebody, and then getting to talk, like they would do a reunion afterwards, right. And you get to see if they're still together, if they're not still together. And it's a space, used to be, I think, before this season. We'll see. The jury's still out, but I like the fact that they were accountable. Like, the men will hold other men accountable. Like, there was one guy who broke up with a girl, and it was really disrespectful, and it was just really bad. And when the reunion came, I mean, they let him have it, and it was the men letting him have it. So I feel like it's a space to teach, like, these are kind of the things that we're missing in the dating world. But this season might be a miss, because I'm already like 3 episodes behind. I never am 3 episodes. Usually it's like waiting, like, okay, what's going on? So, all right, what else y'all watching?
I've been watching Bel-Air. I just started watching that. That was good.
Yeah, no, that I binge watched in one day, because I think it's amazing, because a lot of times when you remake a show, you're just like, oh, but I like how they kept a lot of the true elements of it, but they still made it different. Yes. And I think it's more, relatable to, our kids, like, so I don't just Levi watching it. I know Kennedy, she's still a little, jury's still out, but I think it's an awesome show where, you can watch it with, younger people. Yeah. And, it's like, and you bring in the two worlds together, the past and the present. So.
Yeah. Levi watched the first 3 episodes with me, and he was downstairs talking to his friends yesterday. So I watched the last 2, like, 4 and 5. And he came up here and he was mad. Right. I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were that interested. So I'm going to watch it with him again.
So wait, I haven't seen it. So tell me, I know it's Will Smith, based off of like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but I hear it's very different. Like, what is the premise of the show?
I mean, the premise is the same, but I feel like there are some differences. So like, Jazz's character, whereas before he was like, kind of like just flighty, dumb, didn't really have much going on. This new character is like really, instilling wisdom in Will, and even the new Hillary, like she has a lot of business ventures. She's like an entrepreneur, whereas the old Hillary like kind of used her looks or whatever to get ahead. So I like that about this season where they didn't keep true to the old sitcom, but it still has the main elements. And I think it's just and Carlton, I don't know how you feel about him, Sabrina, but I'm just like, I don't like
Wait,
him.
the Carlton character is different too? So
he's still cornball, but he just taking it to a new level. So we don't want to spoil it for you, but definitely
he corny. Like I didn't know it got corny in Alpha.
And when someone's jealous of someone else and like they go out their way to try to really cause harm to them. And there's this one situation where he really could have stepped in and like chose family and just so
he's a villain. They go deeper into the characters. And correct me if I'm wrong, because Fresh Prince, that was many years ago. But does this show go a little bit more into why he got sent to Bel-Air?
I think it does, because like I said, we didn't get all that. Because I'm like, man, because if this was really the case, I understand. Before it was kind of just like he showed up at the door with his bags, and it was like, we understand he got in trouble at the courts, but we didn't know like to that degree. So I do like why it kind of went more into depth, like why he went there and how it was really a hard decision for him to even still choose to stay in Bel-Air, at the sake of losing, people in his life. So.
Oh, wow. So they go into the whole history of how he got, the West Philadelphia born and raised, like the born and raised part.
Right. Yeah. This show actually starts in Philly.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh, nice.
Yeah. And then you see him get put on the plane. Like it was, it's deep. It's really good.
All right, I'm gonna have to check it out. It's on Peacock, right?
Yeah.
So y'all, one of y'all just send me your login or whatever. So
we'll think about it. Because I'm like, that seemed like a little illegal saying it on this tape. So I don't know.
No, it's not. Because I'm gonna watch it at your home. Duh.
Oh, okay.
You sound a little snitchy. I'm not sure, but
I'm just saying, you put it out there in the world now, okay?
A little snitchy. It's fine. Whatever. Dr. Scott. No judgments. But you mentioned did y'all get to see Women of the Movement?
Yes, did get to see it.
It's like the story, but it's just like, dang, like
that's something else that went more into depth. Like we all know the story, but to see like all of that she went through and just to see how really strong she really was, because we knew what I'm saying, but to see to that level, it's just like, wow, it was really inspiring. I think I'm gonna do all the emotions watching it: angry, sad, hopeful. It just they really did a good job with that. They really did.
So this is the story of Emmett Till, but focusing on his mother, Mamie Till. I think them. This is Diddy, right? Diddy and Will Smith produced this and put this together. But I think it's focusing on, I'm hoping the anthology is going to continue and they'll focus on someone else. But I feel you, Nicole, like the whole array of emotions that you go through and the fact that they even slipped in a love story, like in it, even though, this is a major tragedy. We're talking about, facing all kinds of level of not just disrespect, but serious, blatant, hateful racism. Like, I mean, even the whole, I remember the scene when the body is sent home and she's seeing the body for the first time. And it's like the amount of strength as a mother to view your child in that condition, having been in the water for days, and you see her touching each part of his body and remembering, like, I think it was his ear or his hand or something from the moment he was born. Like, it was just, yeah.
Well, I think that really speaks to a conversation of why did it take so long for this for this to be shown? Like, why do you think it took so long?
That's a good question.
I think it's a lot. For one, I think it takes someone being that bold and audacious, to put something like that out there. Shockingly enough, there were still a lot of people who didn't even know who Emmett Till was, just watching on social media and people not even knowing. So yeah, I'm too was like, dang, like why it take so long for something like this to happen? But you know what, like you said, the more that people continue to normalize this, to put it out there, to the public, I think that it will become, more of a common thing. But, it just sucks that we're still in 2022, still having a lot of our first, where something like this was even done. So, but it's like, I'm still trying to remain hopeful that, you know, more of these type of things would happen, but it's just like, it's crazy. Just like this, I'm going off tangent, but the Supreme Court appointee, like this fact that we're still having these first in 2022, it's just like, it's crazy.
Shout out to Judge Jackson.
For real, yes. But no, the reason why I mentioned that was in my head, like I thought about that question for a while. And the story was so horrible, and it speaks to every single family, no matter what color, because no mother wants their child to go through that. And in my mind, it took so long to come out because it speaks to something horrible that can't be covered up. And we like to talk about Black history and say Black history facts. However, that's a story that hurt. Like it really hurt, and it can hurt anybody that actually has a child. So it's like, I feel that sometimes we like to soften Black history. Like, yeah, Harriet Tubman, she did get these slaves out. But as long as we leave it basic and general, we don't tell the stories underneath, the stories that'll make you feel like they really hurt. And I feel like that's why it took so long, because nobody can really say that should have happened. No, like we're really just starting to have this movement where, listen, this is what happened. You're white. This is what happened. It doesn't matter.
But here's the thing, as we're getting this like movement towards finally telling the truth, then you have a whole other set of people who want to hurry up and cover it up again. Like actively trying to, so it's like a whole combative thing going on right now because, and I have to shout out younger people, because I feel like the reason why that happened is because the generation, even below us, like us and below of every race, they're not having it anymore. Like they don't want to cover up those conversations. They don't want to cover up the realities and the atrocities of this country. And I feel like we're the only country that does that. Like there's not been a nation or a land that doesn't have bloodshed or doesn't have, you know, some terrible things in their history, and they make it part of their tapestry. Like you learn about, we're the only space that seems to just really want to whitewash it and act like it never happened. And basically just say, okay, we're in 2022, now let's get over it, but never addressing it. While telling people to go to therapy. The exact reason for therapy is because you want to address the traumas of your past.
You have to.
And then, but they're telling us get over it. Like, which one is it? Like, I'm confused.
Yeah, and that's why I'm loving some of the work of our generation today with Resma, with my grandmother's hands, the book that he wrote, Robin DiAngelo with White Fragility, Rachel Carl, who brings to light white feminism is a white woman's movement because it does not include everyone. And we're really fighting this battle firsthand, and it's amazing. Because listen, white people have to accept that trauma too. You did it. It's in your face. Now, what are we going to do about it? Because we both have to heal from it. And what are you going to do about it to make it better? So I think we're really doing some stuff.
It's hard not to heal when people take ownership. Like, it's hard not to heal that way.
Exactly. Like, that's what it's ownership. Yes.
The thing that's making it so difficult is the denial. You know, if people just came and said, you know what? This did happen. We're sorry. We may not have been the contributors to it, but we are benefiting from it. Exactly. That's a reality. And we're sorry. And that we can keep it moving. You know, like we can start growing and healing and existing together.
Exactly.
But is it going to happen? I don't know.
Yeah, not holding my breath on that one at all. But all we can do, listen, I'm just being honest. And like, you know, the more that I do work in like, you know, implicit bias and, you know, diversity, equity, inclusion, there's always going to be a group of people like, you know, I'm just not going to apologize for something that I had no part in. And, you know, this whole white privilege thing, people really think it's not a real thing. And like in my mind, it's just like, you know, so as long as we continue to have people who think like that, and I just don't know, like I said, maybe hundreds and hundreds of years, you know, once we're came and gone, but I just know in this lifetime, you know, it's just unfortunate, but all I know is that we just have to still continue to operate in our spaces and do what we can, you know, in the moment. If we can bring more people, you know, over and, you know, help them learn and recognize that, yes, this is a real thing, then hey, that's all we can do is what we can do and what's in our control. And like I said, if I could just, you know, do these, you know, trainings and I bring 1 or 2 people, then I did my job. But, you know, as far as like just thinking, yes, we got 100% agreement that white privilege is real and we're really going to work. I don't know. I don't see that.
And you know what? I don't even think I care about the apology. You ain't got to apologize to me for nothing. What you can do, you can go to your place of employment, you can look at your policies and make sure they are equitable. Mm-hmm. You can work with your lawmakers, council people, you can send petitions, you can do stuff like that. Look at them and make sure they're equitable. You don't got to apologize to me for nothing.
Just acknowledge.
Yeah.
Acknowledge and
just
change.
make sure it's equitable now.
It's like relationships, right? When people keep saying, I'm sorry, and there's no change behavior. I think we just want to change behavior.
Right.
We just want the
apology means
the
nothing.
end result.
Closure. Just be better. Be better.
I'll take an apology too, though. I ain't gonna lie. I'll take an apology and change behavior.
You can apologize first, okay?
Let me tell you something. I was on a board meeting, okay? And I'm not gonna, it's one of the nonprofits that I sit on. And I actually had to sit through, and I'm the only person of color on the entire executive board. Shocker. But I just couldn't believe there was someone who was a fellow board member who said something so disturbing to me in this meeting. You know, our executive director is trying to incorporate, you know, bias training, all those kind of things. And she was opposed to it because she said she didn't want to sit in spaces where she's made to feel bad about being Caucasian. And I said, welcome to my life. I sit in spaces every day where I'm made to feel less than, different, whatever, because of the color of my skin. And the crazy thing is that how is inclusivity somehow a threat to your whiteness? It's not. Like, but I feel like, you know, and I've had this conversation with, you know, Caucasian friends and things like that. Like, it's not acknowledging the realities of what I'm going through is not diminishing the realities of what you go through. Like, one doesn't have to exist without the other. You can be white and be proud in your whiteness and be proud of your culture, your, you know, what you've gained culturally from, you know, your ancestry or whatever, without somehow me being proud of what I am affecting that. Like, I don't understand how those two things, but I feel like they see it as an attack sometimes. And I, you know, generally some people who are opposed to having, like, you know, cultural awareness training and education in their school systems, they see it as an attack on their whiteness. And it's like, no, if you feel that, maybe there's something to explore there.
Mm-hmm. I
agree too.
Women of the movement. So you just rattled off some people, Sabrina. Like, you gotta let's circle back. What is this? You told us one person in particular. I think what was her name? Rachel
Cargill.
Okay, Rachel Cargill. And she's a white feminist, or she's a feminist. She's against white feminism.
She kind of speaks to how white feminism, like there's different aspects. It's that. Now, I just learned about her last week, to be honest, and I'm a little ashamed of that because I talked to a couple of people and they already knew who she was. So I was like, wait, what? So I really just started watching YouTube videos. So I feel like I can't give her any justice. Mm-hmm. Like, I just know that she speaks to aspects around this, like, I'm going to butcher the quote, but the quote was about how white tears are not more important than Black lives. Mm-hmm. And she just does work around that. Like white, I equate Robin DiAngelo of her white fragility. I kind of tie it into that, but like I said, I don't want to butcher her work because I'm really just learning about her. But to me, she seems really awesome. Mm.
She sounds like she's resurrecting the work of Shirley Chisholm. Because back in talking about women of the movement, you know, she started with the feminist movement at first until she realized that they were competing, because you know, the feminist movement was very much for white women, you know, to sort of not become part of the patriarchy, but kind of become equal with the patriarchy. And we know the patriarchy is white patriarchy, so there's no room for Black women in white patriarchy. It just doesn't work. So Shirley Chisholm is the first one. She kind of got burned by it. Because she was a part of the feminist movement at first. And then when she wanted to run for president, you know, she realized kind of where they were competing values there. And she didn't really have the support from the feminist movement that she thought she did.
Yes.
I don't know. Oh, shout out to Ray Fisher too. Ray Fisher started Women of the Movement as Jean, right? That was Mamie's ended up being her husband, but at the time, I think in the way the film was done, it was her
boyfriend,
suitor.
Mm-hmm.
However they call it. But Ray Fisher's from Longside. He grew up with us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, went to high school with us. I think the first time we saw him acting was in high school. Like he was the only Black person in drama that I remember.
Well, it paid off, so.
It did. It did. He was good too. He was good. He had a voice. He could sing. He could dance. So the first time we got to see him act was as Cyborg in the DC Comics films, and now he was Gene. He did a good job. He did a good job as Gene. Mm-hmm. From little old Longside, historically Black Longside,
Longside, New Jersey.
But yeah, so I mean, like we said, we're kind of on the ending of Black History Month, though, you know, Black History is 365, but just considering like where we are in the space, you know, by the time this episode airs, will be technically in March, but what are like some of y'all thoughts about Black History Month, Black History, like, did you do anything particularly special? Did you do anything to celebrate? Like, you know, kind of what are your closing thoughts about this month and, you know, the fact that we get to celebrate ourselves 28 strong days, you know, shortest month, but whatever.
But whatever. I didn't do anything particularly different. However, I just think it's always good to reflect on our greats, the people that paved the way for us. And I really think we're living in a time where our generations are really picking up social justice work and moving it to a whole nother level. So I'm in appreciation.
That's dope.
Yeah, I also agree. Not that I did anything extra. Like I said, I get the Black history facts from my father, like, you know, all the time, almost every day.
I love them.
Like I said, little festivals here and there, but like I said, my dad always says, like, you know, Black history is American history. So like, I just always want to urge people to make sure that, you know, you're learning about yourself, your culture, you know, 365, because it's important. And like I said, I'm just so empowered by the younger people. I have to shout out, I think her name's Lene, and she goes by Lenise on IG, and she does parking lot pimping on Fridays. And she's always like, I'm gonna keep it Black, but I'm gonna keep it brief, keep it Black. I don't know. I just love how she, keep it Black. There you go. And how she, you know, talks about a lot. And I think that's what we need, more people like her that keeps it relatable for the younger generation, you know, because going to the days of, you know, you're sitting in class and you're just learning about, you know, history, you have to make it where it's relatable. And I think she did an amazing job with, you know, growing her following and being able to talk about the tough, you know, topics that a lot of people don't want to talk about. I think she was also nominated for an NAACP Image Award or so, you know, I think that's just, and that's what just gives me hope that, you know, the kids who are younger than us, you know, are really making it, you know, easier and providing better access for, you know, the younger generations to learn more about themselves.
Yeah. You know what? I wanted to speak on this. Okay. There's a concept called, especially if you have younger kids, there's a concept called positive racial socialization. And I have also heard of it as positive racial identity development. That's important in our areas. That's important in our communities. And it's because you put these things into, we happen to go to Longside. Me and Z grew up strong in Longside, Black history all day. A lot of Black children don't have that. Yeah. It's important to build those concepts and then when they're younger. And it's been proven in urban environments where there is a high crime rate, high poverty, that if you use elements of positive racial socialization, statistics get better. Because you're telling them, listen, you do great. You come from greatness. You can have greatness. And it's really important for our families to do this. And that's something I'm learning about too. And I'm like, no, yeah, we need to be doing this because schools are not going to teach everything.
No.
And they need to know, like, listen, the race is positive. I don't care what happens when you walk outside, what you see, what you got to pass on your way to school. You come from this, you come from this. You can be this, you can do that. And just show avenues of greatness all the time to combat what's outside.
Agreed.
That's such a great point. And I think that requires us to also educate ourselves.
Exactly.
Because, how do we impart it if we don't know it? And we do take that for granted. Like, I think we forget we grew up in a predominantly Black town that wasn't like an inner city Black town. It was like suburban Black town. We got to see examples of Black professionals. Like, this is like, I grew up in Brooklyn, so I kind of had both the examples of it, grown. The thing about Brooklyn that was good was it was diverse. You had, Caribbean, Afro, Latino, you had Asian, you had everybody in one space. But to get into a space where we were a small town, but you immediately learned the history of this town. Like, you were not graduating from Longside Public School. Forget the standardized test. If you didn't know that we used to be called Snow Hill, Freehaven, and the Peter My House down the street, like, you needed to know, like, we had rites of passage, like, our teachers were Black. The majority of our teachers were Black. Like, teachers of other races were the minority. Like, that's not life. That's not what people grow up with. And I didn't really realize how much of a gift that was. So you're right.
I didn't know until now. I didn't appreciate it right now, but I would not trade it for anything. I would not trade being from Longside. I would not trade going to the school system. Like, it really became a part of me and what I do today and how I talk. I wouldn't trade it at all. I didn't appreciate it back then. Miss Higgs, wouldn't trade them for nothing.
If you wasn't doing nothing, you was watching Roots.
Yes. Listen,
we never get to finish it though. We always get to start it. But yeah, so as far as celebrating, so I have the honor of being on the Black Law Students Association at my law school. So we got to run events throughout the month. We did a Black law panel where we just had, it was a Black female law panel. So it was Black women who were practicing attorneys. We did some stuff around healthcare, just encouraging the Black community to go to therapy and like the art of choosing a therapist and all that kind of stuff. And then we just ended yesterday with the Ask a Law Student panel, because in conversation with ourselves, we realized like many of us got to law school almost by accident. Like, it was like figuring it out along the way. It was like not really having examples of people who could tell you what to do, or the fact that you really should save to even apply to law school, because that's a reason why a lot of people aren't attorneys. Because I mean, you got to buy a membership for this like technology that puts all of your application information together. That's over $200. The exam is over $200. Then you have to apply to each school. If you're lucky, the schools have waived their application fees, but to apply, you still have to pay a journaling fee for each school you're applying to, which range from $40 to $60 per application. So like, we're talking about serious money here. So we just put a panel together for people who are in high school or in undergraduates or adult learners who might be interested in it, to be able to ask questions about the process and like, how to get started, what to do, what it's like to be a law student, work-life balance, how it is to be like a minority in a space where you're a serious minority here. Like, less than 5% of the population are Black attorneys, like of the population of attorneys are Black. That's deep. We're almost 14% of the population, and we represent, and you talk about Black female attorneys, we're talking even less. So, it was kind of our goal to get people encouraged and to get them hopefully on the path of being attorneys, because, the legal system is the great equalizer or unequalizer, depending on who you are. And, not having a good attorney or not having prosecutors who are Black, who are in spaces of being able to decide, criminal punishment and things like that. Like, it's just, we were glad that we got to have that conversation with some young people of color. So
okay,
I know I celebrated.
Great.
Yeah, that's deep. Yes. It's great to be back with you ladies. And we're back, y'all. You'll be able to see us every 2 weeks again. We're back on, back by popular demand, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, goodness.
But we are back nonetheless. When monkey don't stop no show. So to keep moving. But You can follow us on our social media platforms at B.N.Z Sistahs with 3 S's on IG. And we are looking for people to help us with, thinking of ideas and things to talk about. We want to hear from the people who listen to us. So if you do have an idea, please hit us up at BNZSistahSSS, SISTAHSSS at gmail.com. And all of our various social media platforms will be on here. So please feel free to follow us. We always, as usual, we're grateful for our listeners. We're thankful, and we will see you again next time.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow us today at B.N.Z Sistahs.